Good afternoon and welcome to your lunch hour election update. The votes from yesterday's regional council and local authority elections are starting to come in, and we are starting to see a political picture being painted. Joining me in the studio is the editor of the Namibian Sun, Trevor. Good afternoon, Trevor. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. How are things?
Things are good. Things are good. The results are coming in.
Yes.
We're starting to see a picture being painted so far of what this could look like for the political landscape in Namibia.
Yeah.
Before we get even into the election results, how was your election experience so far?
It was smooth, but yesterday I voted close to our studio here, and I wasn't planning to go vote at that moment because I thought I would just walk into the shop really to grab something to eat, and I realized there was nobody at the polling station, and then I just walked in. Smooth, but what came with that smoothness was the fact that people just didn't show up yesterday. That's why it was easy to cast your vote yesterday, which is a good thing to do it so fast like that. But in the greater scheme of things, it was not good that so many people stayed away.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Now, some of the preliminary results have started to come in of the just concluded regional and local authority elections. And the first confirmed outcome is from Nami News constituency in the Karas region. Out of 9,670 registered voters, 4,510 cast their ballots, marking a 46% turnout. SWAPO leads with 2,478 votes, followed by IPC with 1,387, LPM with 544, and PDM with 101 votes. In the local authority elections in Luderitz, delivered the first results of the 4,143 voters who participated. SWAPO secured 2,417 votes, earning 4 seats. IPC follows with 1,315 votes and 2 seats, while PDM takes 1 seat with 210 votes. So there is also another confirmed result from Katutura East, but we will take a look at that a little bit later. I just want us to discuss what we've just seen now.
Yeah.
We have some results from the Luderitz regional election, the regional council results. And so we are starting to see a picture being formed. There's a lot of differences, I think, in terms of how it looked like last elections compared to now.
Yeah, so SWAPO in the town council of Luderitz increased their seats by 1. They now have 4 seats compared to 3 gained from the last election. And because this is a 7 seats council, it means SWAPO has now regained control of the Luderitz Town Council, because when they had 3, there was no absolute winner for Luderitz Town Council last time out, and there was some sort of opposition coalition. That's why, for example, we know that there was an IPC mayor there, even if IPC did not win the council also themselves, but because SWAPO had 3 seats, the opposition combined had 4. So the opposition in their collective were in charge of the council, if you like. So SWAPO has now wrestled the control back, winning 4 seats, and IPC, they're having 2
seats.
So meaning IPC have also lost. IPC maintained their seats. They had 2 even in the previous election, but the opposition as a collective now only have 3 instead of the 4 that they had.
Exactly. So getting into this, it's sort of painting a different picture from, I would say, what some people might have expected. Some people, I would beg to say, they were expecting to see LPM secure a seat, and the fact that they did not get a seat there. But like I said, we're still analyzing how the rest of the results would look like. But is that like a shocker?
Not in Luderitz. LPM is not particularly strong in Luderitz, and in I mean, if we talk about Karas region now, So Ludrats is in Karas, of course, such as well as Mariental. So LPM is not too strong in those two towns, but they still, I mean, I thought they would still get a seat at least in Ludrats. That did not happen. They also have, even in the constituency results that you showed, maybe we can start, we can look into the Ngaminu's constituency results themselves. Even there, I mean, there they actually did much better, but you can see they only came third. So it's not the strongest of constituencies, but we'll see how the remainder of the region is going to be. But what we are hearing all morning is that SWAPO seems to have secured all constituencies essentially in the south, except Ludrats West, Rehoboth West, where I'm told that an independent candidate has won there. Those are things that we are just hearing. They're not properly confirmed yet. But as we saw even in the 2024 general election, the presidential and national assembly election, SWAPO actually beat LPM in areas where LPM was sort of the ruling party at local authority and
dominant.
Yes. So it's not a very surprising result. What would be surprising, obviously, is whether LPM takes at least the second spot. In those towns like Mariental, Keetmans, and whatnot.
Why would you say? What would you say rather is the factor that it's like I said, some people would have expected them to perform quite well. What is the reasons behind some of the reasons why it's not performing so well in the Karas region, where some might say should have been its stronghold?
Yeah, I think the fact of the matter is that Namibians have just, they are so enlightened now. But the South, if you remember the history, the South has always been very unpredictable. After independence, PDM was a strong force, DTA of course, in the South. And then people got tired of the party for whatever reasons, then they started voting for SWAPO increasingly. And then 5 years ago, they chucked out SWAPO completely, brought in LPM, and now LPM is getting chucked out again. So it's a very unpredictable part of the country. And personally, I like it like that, where nobody's guaranteed this blind loyalty. If you are perceived to not deliver on the services that you promise the people, they will change. That is the kind of politics that our country should be encouraging. In Erongo this morning, the margins are very, very thin. But you could see SWAPO is increasingly, of course, there's not a single official result yet announced. But when you look at single polling station results from different polling stations in Walvis Bay in particular, you could see there's a strong comeback from SWAPO again. So I think Namibians are now just voting on the basis of the performance of whoever was in charge for the past 5 years. If they deliver, they are guaranteed another mandate. If they don't deliver, then you get kicked out.
Yeah. Now let's take a look at Katutura East regional election preliminary results, with a said voter turnout of only 19.4% of registered voters making it to the polls yesterday. Of the 15,878 registered voters, only 3,075 cast their vote yesterday. These are the results. SWAPO's Richard Horseb won the Katutura East constituency with 2,227, a staggering 72% of the total votes cast. IPC's Samson Hokabeb received a total of 622 votes, followed by UDF's Juliet Susep with 420. What do you make of this?
Yeah, so again, in Katutura East, I think it's just important to mention that the constituency was already in SWAPO's hands going into this election. So SWAPO did not topple anyone there. It's a continuation of the mandate from the people of that constituency. What will be interesting is to know whether SWAPO actually won by increasing its its votes in the constituency, even amid the very low turnout across the country, or it's a reduction in the number of people who voted for them. But overall, they were already in charge of the constituency, and they just got a new mandate again to continue leading in Katutura East.
Okay, all right. Now we will continue this discussion. We're just going to take a look at what's happening at some of the polling stations. Here our correspondent Irene Marie van der Velde gives us an update from the multi-purpose center in Swakopmund, where the counting is still underway.
Okay, we are back at the collation center at the multi-purpose center in Mondesa, Swakopmund. Our returning officer, Helene Nathaniel, you might remember her from last year. We've got the same face back here again. She says everything is still fine and well. One polling station is still counting in the Swakopmund constituency, and then they will obviously return here to the collation center to have their results collated and communicated to the ECN head office. But the rest of the polling stations are all here. Everybody is still fine. Observers say they are happy with what they saw at their polling stations. So we were waiting for that last polling station to come in. Tablets are still working, says our returning officer as well. So they are hard at work to collate the results for the Swakopmund constituency, and then we're just waiting for that one polling station that's still counting.
Now the results are still trickling in. We still don't have a full picture of what everything is going to look like, but what are you making of it so far?
Yeah, so I mean, Irene there is reporting from Swakopmund. It looks like Swakopmund is slightly different from Walvis Bay in terms, for example, of the party that has been dominant there over the past 5 years, which is IPC. SWAPO is coming back stronger, but you could see that the individual polling stations are still giving IPC some sort of some good numbers, but of course SWAPO is ahead. That is just according to the individual polling station results. So the overall picture later, when they are announced, things could be completely different. So I don't want to venture much into that. That is Swakopmund. The surprise packages of this election so far for me is the independent candidates in the far east of our country. It was the analysts that we have spoken to just prior to the election were already telling us that the people there, I know for example that Paulus Mbangu, who is the independent candidate for Rundu Urban, is already causing havoc there. He's winning convincingly, and there's a very interesting background to that. Paulus Mbango used to be a SWAPO member. He was a very senior member of the SWAPO Party Youth League, and then during the primaries to choose candidates for SWAPO, people sort of apparently manipulated things there, and then he was cut out of the race. And then he decided to go it his own way. In 2020 already, he won convincingly. And now, for some reason, he seems to have impressed during the past 5 years. Now he's again expected. This one, I can tell you now, he will win Rundu rural constituency again. But there are also other candidates within, I think Mukwe there's a candidate also, an independent candidate causing a lot of problems. And Mukwe is a constituency where yesterday we reported that a group of villagers there showed up and they say they are not going to vote at all. It's not like we're going to vote for this candidate instead of you, the incumbent. They said we are going to stay away altogether because councillor after councillor, they are not delivering their promises. So that is the picture that is emerging. Kavango East and Zambezi, it will be interesting to see how independent candidates are going to perform there.
But what would you say is some of the factors you think contribute to some of the independent candidates doing so well as compared to the others, or what we would have expected?
Yeah, I think people have gotten tired of political parties generally. That's why even going into this election, there's a lot of ratepayers associations competing against political parties at local authorities. And the reason, according to some observation, is really that people feel that the mandates to do things, imagine you're a town council in a small rural region, and there's an urgent thing that need to be addressed, and political parties sometimes have to get their mandate from the headquarters in Windhoek for that decision, for that resolution to be taken. Whereas as an independent, you don't have to consult anyone else. If the people say this is what we want, you do it. Same as Ratepayers Association, because they are localized there. If something must be done, you get your mandate from the association immediately, not through regional coordinators and the party headquarters and politburos and central committees. So people are not up for those kind of delays.
All right. Now moving back to what's happening at the polling stations, while things are running smoothly at some of these centers, others are experiencing challenges. Hilkata Kuhlman, returning officer for Mariental Urban Constituency, says that the network problems are delaying the submissions of results from polling stations to collation centers, although counting was done timelessly. Only results from the Dabib constituency had reached the Central Election Results Center in Windhoek by 11 a.m. today.
Okay, I'm Ricardo Kuhlman, the returning officer of Mariental Urban Constituency. Yesterday we finished our polling on time, and all our presiding officers are here now at the polling collation center here at the Dani Joubert hall. So right now we are verifying and collating the results of the different polling stations. Currently for Mariental Urban, we are having 16 polling stations that are busy verifying and collating the results. We are having a hiccup of technical problems with the network. So within the next few hours, we will be done with the verification. And after the verification, we will send our verifications for approval to the CERC, the Central Electoral Results Center in Windhoek. And then we will just wait for them for the final approval and the announcement of the results. So for now, I cannot say much, but all the counting at the stations were done in a timeless time. So we are just collating all the polling stations' results.
Now going back to some of the results that have come in so far, Katutura East, we did cover it and how it's performing so far. What is your opinion in terms of how the SWAPO party has performed in the previous election in Katutura East regional election preliminary results? I mean the results rather from that.
Yeah. So our team has just finished us with a clearer picture now. So because remember we were saying, okay, SWAPO won, but did they win by increasing their votes or they are in the same range? So in 2020, SWAPO got 1,772 votes. This time around, they got 2,227 votes. So they have gone up, they have won the constituency by increasing the number of votes also. And the funny thing, of course, is that the number of voters generally has actually gone down completely.
I think it went down with 19.4%.
Yeah, 4,700 people voted last year. This time around is just above 3,000. So, but the very few that showed up, those very few that showed up, the bulk of them actually voted for SWAPO.
And it's doing much better than it did in the last election. So that's very notable. That's very notable.
Yes, absolutely.
What would you say is some of the reasons behind trends such as this?
Yeah, it would be interesting to see the things like, of course, a lot of people stayed away, and I suspect that a lot of those are young people. And if you are guaranteed the older people's votes, you are likely to then take these votes. But I think also there's an element of people just dissatisfied with those that they have voted 5 years ago. Of course, in this case, it's the same guy, or it's the same party rather. But I think there is young people largely stayed away. Older people continued to show up, And I think those are the dynamics that we are going to see, particularly in the northern regions. When results from the north start coming in, you will see a lot of that.
All right, now with that we have come to the end of the lunch hour update on your elections. We will be back at 3 p.m. with Election Watch, giving you all the election coverage and the results as they come in.